My fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is the Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Sean Whittington. I'm a seminarian in the United States Old Catholic Church, and I'm coming to you live from my haunted house, my very haunted house, where I live. Got a great guest today. I love this guy. He's funny, he's cool, he's passionate and talented. His whole family is. And I know that's why you all tuned in. You all love him and respect him too. But he's in the green room. I'll bring him on ASAP. Thank you all for being here, spending an hour with me on a busy Friday afternoon, because I don't have a show without you guys. So honestly, thank you very much. Let's check the prayer urn. Bonnie B from Nevada. Nevada, are you in Vegas, Bonnie? Send me a message and let me know. Just bought and moved into a fix-em-upper home. Okay. I'm in one of those, been in one of those for 20 years. The whole family started experiencing paranormal activity here when renovations began. Suggestions? And could you offer up a prayer for the situation to calm down? Bonnie, you probably wouldn't be surprised. That is such a common occurrence, and you probably are in Vegas. There's a lot of people moving here, a lot of fix-em-uppers. So yes, I will offer up a prayer for you. Suggestions? Uh, if there's a nearby, if you're Catholic or Christian or not, if there's a nearby Catholic church to you, see if you can make an appointment for one of their priests to come out and bless the home and bless the surrounding property. If not, you can do it yourself. Just get some, try to find a church where you can get some holy water, some sea salt, white sage, or frankincense and myrrh incense sticks blessed. Take all of that to the priest, have him lay hands on it, bless all of it, and then just smudge your house real good. Lay salt on the inside of the windowsills and on the ground of every door that leads outside. Sprinkle holy water in the sign of the cross in all four directions of every single room, including closets, bathrooms, attics, basements, everywhere. Smoke out the house really good, and keep me posted on how that's going. But if you don't want to go through all of that hassle, get a priest over there to bless your house. This is an issue of authority. So I'm going to say a prayer for you to take authority, and hopefully that will help you. In the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, amen. I offer this prayer up for Bonnie. Lord Jesus Christ, in thy name I ask thee to bind and silence all powers and forces that do not accept thee as Lord and King in the air, in the water, in the ground, the netherworld, and nature, and the spiritual world. I ask thee to bind all demonic action and demonic communication. Lord, seal this whole place, all of us here, and all our intentions in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Mary, we ask thee to surround us with thy mantle of protection and crush Satan's power in our lives. St. Michael the Archangel, we ask you and all our guardian angels to defend us in battle against Satan and the powers of darkness. Amen. Okay, Bonnie, hopefully that will help a little bit. And but please keep me posted on your progress, especially reach out if you're here in Vegas. Hang in there though, and thank you for the request. Okay, let's check the Paranormal Ministry mailbag. Everybody always asks me what's on your bag. It's an old throwback Ghost Be Gone Paracon bag. A really great bag you can pick up in the ghost store on my website and carry it around at all the Paracons. Because you go from booth to booth, meeting people, buying stuff, and you need something to carry them in. Oh, did I say all the stuff that requesting here? Oh, there's one. Tom A. from California. I think I may be in possession of a cursed object. Uh oh. Any suggestions on how to bind it? That is a great question, Tom. I might leave that question out and talk to my guest today about that. Suggestions. Don't buy cursed objects. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are into buying antiques. Uh, they receive hand-me-down stuff. They go to estate sales and buy things. Um, really old stuff. You got to be careful. Binding. I've bound my fair share of cursed items here on my property. I just put them in a box wrapped in um, some type of packing paper. I enclose, colleagues of mine are going to get upset with me for saying this, but I don't like to poke the bear or provoke. So if I'm going to bind something, I'm going to throw some money in there, some tobacco, some candy, some peanuts, um, definitely some money. Who knows? There may be some other things I might throw in there, and I might wrap it up really good, put it in this box, sprinkle holy water, bless salts in the box before I seal it up, dig a nice big hole, put some holy water and salt in the hole, put the item in there, bury it, and then consecrate the ground over it with some more salts and holy water. A lot of people like to burn um, these cursed items. I don't like to burn them because I no one knows for sure, but it's my humble opinion that release is what's attached to them, and then they're just floating around, ready to latch on and attach on to something else and become, just like a demonic leech on the next unsuspecting victim. So that's how I bind things. But um, or you can take it to your nearest Catholic church, ask if the priest there will take it off your hands for you. That's a good suggestion too. But be very careful when you buy these things. You didn't ask for one, and I very rarely do this. This is going to be a two-prayer day. I'm going to offer prayer up for you, Tom, for your binding. And being a binding issue, I can use the same book. I think I might have a good binding. I do have a good one here. Okay. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. I offer this prayer up for Tom. Saint Michael, our Father, Hail Mary, glory be. In thy name, Lord Jesus Christ, we pray that thou wouldst cover us, our families, and all our possessions with thy love and thy most precious blood, and surround us with thy heavenly angels, saints, and the mantle of our Blessed Mother. Amen. Okay. Tom, keep me posted on. I'd like to know what kind of item that is. Send me a message. Let me know exactly what that item is, history on it if you know any, and what you've decided to do in this binding issue. Okay, guys. Anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there to visit, a lot of cool things to see. Keep in mind, my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough. But if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send our ministry in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. There's the ghost store there. Cool things to get in the ghost store, like that Paracon bag, this really cool throwback Ghost Be Gone cup. That is on a page. You'll find the ghost store on a page called the WSE course/book. On that page, scroll down a little bit, you'll run into my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, and I quote, scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. Part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Nevada, and the ASPCA. That's a no-brainer. You get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. How cool is that? And people that are buying this book right now from me here, it comes autographed, enclosed in a house blessing kit. And you can get it a little less expensive at Amazon. But there's also a picture in this book that I want to show everybody real quick before I bring my guest out. And this picture is of an entity that I caught at an abandoned location out in the middle of the desert. Bottom picture. We're not sure if it's a young child. We don't know if it's a young girl or a young boy. And since we captured that photo, we've seen that entity in our home. I don't get the spidey senses. My discernment doesn't tell me it's malevolent. But some of the people that have bought books from me that have sat here in my office that I've sent to you, not on Amazon, have reported seeing that same apparition in their home after receiving the book. So we may have a haunted book here. If that happens to you, tell me your story. It might end up in a book or a show or something, but I'd like to talk to you about your experience, okay? Scroll a little further down on that page, you'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I'm a founding member. I offer a online 12-week college level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSC. And this is a one of those very unusual, you'll never find another course like it type courses for all the true warriors for Christ out there that feel a calling and a longing to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, circling the wagons, putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil. If it ever comes calling, that's the course for you. You can enroll in the course at the website. If you want more information about the course before making that type of commitment, there's a Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page. Or you can just call me and talk to me about the course, see if it's right for you. No, you won't learn how to take authority over exorcisms. It's not that type of course. That's a completely different calling. What you will learn, though, is what I've learned and what works for me, spiritual warfare through my eyes and my experiences. And all my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed items that you can only get from yours truly. So there you have it. Open enrollment right now for the fall classes, and classes are limited to a certain amount now. So if you're interested, um, go for it. It's a great class. Keep all my former, current, and future students in your prayers, please. Thank you very much. All right, brothers and sisters, the moment of truth. Why you all tuned in? Like I said before, I love this guy, and he's funny, and he's just cool. His whole family's really cool. Um, Without further ado, please welcome to the Paranormal Ministry the one and only Bobby Gallo.
Hey, Reverend Sean, how are you?
I got a funny story for you.
Okay.
Um, Technically, I'm not reverend anymore. once I
Okay.
once I entered the seminary, I became a seminarian, and so
Oh,
until they at the very least lay hands on me and ordain me a deacon. Technically, I can't use the title of reverend anymore, but everybody's
okay.
known me for years and years and years as the Rev. I still go by the Rev,
Okay. Well,
and
that's good. That works.
as soon as they as soon as I at least uh, get ordained into the diaconate, I will go back to using the title of reverend because I'll be able to. But um, what else do I want to say to you? You're such a handsome guy.
Please.
We talked we talked earlier this week about you wearing the Santa hat this week, and I
Yes.
joked around with a few people about it. That is the funkiest, coolest Santa hat I ever saw.
Well, it doesn't fit. I asked my wife to find the Santa hat because I wanted to wear it, because it's a whole, it's a holiday thing. Obviously, Christmas is next week, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that want family spirits too on their list. So I wanted to wear the hat, but it didn't fit. So here we are. We're wearing the magic hat today. I wore the hat that's actually on the cover of Family Spirits 2 during our last show, but I don't want your audience to get bored, so I'm switching it
let's
up.
let's talk about your book. Do you
Okay,
feel like me? I have this. I went and did a thing
okay,
which I'm not supposed to talk about. Let me take a drink here. And The secret was supposed to be able to be let out this past October. So the book's done, and there's a whole chapter in this book devoted to this thing I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was waiting to publish the book until I knew that it was okay for me to do so. The book's sitting there at Stellian Books, waiting, just waiting for them to push the button and send them out. It's all done. But now it got pushed back to premiere till October of 2023. So now I got to sit on this book. But occasionally I tell people, I remind them, get caught up, get my first one, and then you're all ready to go when the second one comes out. I know you have Family Spirits, you have a first book too, correct?
That is correct. Just so
Now,
happens that I have them here.
do you feel
This is the first.
funny pitching the second? I know you want to pitch the second one,
Yeah.
and I did something in the book for you. You have a story. I think I did a story in your second book. But
You did.
talk to me about. Do you feel funny just pitching the first one and not pitching the first one anymore? Like you've forgotten it or?
No, in fact, when I'm at Paracons, and we did a lot of Paracons this past year, I still talk more about the first one than the second one, only because of if a person has not read either of them, they really should start with the first book, because the first book is a paranormal primer, among other things, and also gives the people our story. And even though I wrote Family Spirits as Family Spirits 2 as a standalone book, people still tap into it better if they're already familiar with us, because the second half of the book is our continuing investigations. And to really appreciate those, I think you kind of have to have that historical perspective by reading the first book.
Absolutely. I don't know if this is possible. I'm going to try and do it. I haven't even talked to the publisher about this, but um, have you ever thought about also offering like a package of the two of them together, like at a special rate or something?
Well, at Paracons we do that, but I haven't done that outside of the Paracons. Right now, uh, they can get them through Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Actually, Family Spirits 2 is only available through Barnes and Noble because we have an exclusivity deal with them for that one. But at the Paracons, we give them a combo deal. But right now, if somebody wants an autograph copy, they can get that through our Etsy store, which is ghostgear.info, and I will sign them and I send those out personally. And they get a good deal if they get it through Etsy, and they also get a genuine Family Spirits bookmark, which you can't get through Amazon. So I'm just saying right now, there are perks. There's perks there.
Very cool, very cool. Um, for the few people out there that might be wondering, God, this guy he's so good on camera. He's got such a great presence, which you do, and you're well spoken and very talented and passionate. A lot of people, I was surprised when I talked to people. Tell me Bobby's story. You know, who's this guy you got coming on this week? And I'm so always surprised when everybody knows you, but I'm surprised when I get a few people that ask me that. And when I tell them, back in the day, the guy was like a world class comedy magician. So tell people a little bit about. I mean, you've come so far. You and the whole family are these elite ghost hunters, and we'll talk about your web series and all that. But talk about your history with being the comedic um, magician, and you even have a school and all that. I find all that stuff amazing.
Well, I've been a professional magician for, wow, the better part of now 40 years. I can't, it's really dating myself. But I was full time on the road for 15 years, full time professional comedy magician. As you said, I used to do colleges, nightclubs, cruise ships, the whole gamut, and when I got married and started a family, I knew that I didn't want to be on the road anymore, because it's a very hard lifestyle. It really is. You're on the road all the time. Um, you know how people live paycheck to paycheck. Well, when you're a performer, you live gig to gig. And sometimes when the gigs are light, it's a struggle, but I did very well, I must say. And in Family Spirits 1, the first book, I actually talk a little bit about that. Because a lot of people say, well, you say you're a ghost hunter and you're a paranormal investigator for the sole purpose of trying to find the truth. But yet you started a web series, and the whole performing thing ties into that. The reason we started a web series was because I had that show business background and I knew how to take what we were doing and present it to an audience. So that's one of the reasons we really started the web series. And again, I tell people all the time, I said, there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of paranormal web series on YouTube right now. But when we started doing it, you could literally count them on one hand,
Yeah.
literally. And there was no one doing it. In fact, April Abercrombie, who wrote the afterword in Family Spirits, and she's the founder of Facebook's Ghost Advice, very well respected. I remember her saying, wow, this is like having another ghost show to watch, because back then you had 3 ghost shows. You had Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, and Paranormal State. And that's it. So when we started putting out this web series, it was just like this epiphany. Like no one had done it before. And people that were already watching these other shows, this was their 4th show. And that's where we really gained our early following. And one of the reasons we ended up writing the books, because our following has stayed with us for years.
Yeah. And it will just continue to grow. I mean, that's my prediction. You already know that. You have your finger on the pulse of your audience. If I can coin that phrase. Tell everybody the name of the web series and how they can see it.
The name of the web series is Gallo Family Ghost Hunters. And there's really 2 ways to go and see it. Number one is if you go to ghosthunter.ws, and you can see it's right there beneath my hat. There's a link tree there, and links to all of the major streaming platforms are on there. But honestly, what I'd like people to do right now, we just got picked up by BB3 TV. And BB3 TV is a Facebook only platform. And what we're doing right now is we agreed to do that this past summer at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. We were actually approached by them to run our web series on their new streaming TV platform, which is, again, only on Facebook. I agreed to do it because what's really cool about BB3 TV is giving us an opportunity to reintroduce the web series that is now it's about 12 years old now. That's when it started. So we're reintroducing these older paranormal episodes to a brand new audience. And it kind of helps us with the metrics if people watch it through that platform. Every week we re-release another episode. And we actually started from the newer ones and we're working our way back to the earlier ones.
Very, very cool. I like the web series. It's cool. I love your whole family. They're just so cool. And you guys, I mean, you just don't see that. You just don't see. I mean, you see some teams, and sometimes you can tell they were just thrown together for a show, or they may have known each other for a while, and there's some chemistry there, but not like family. And so your family, it's just a really good look. And like I said, I haven't seen anything like Gallo Family Ghost Hunters anywhere else.
Well, it is a very interesting dynamic. And this coming year, when we do the Paracons, I'm already set up to be a speaker at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash in July, and also at the, forgive the name of this Paracon, the Hell House Paracon, which is only about 30 minutes from Castello Gallo. I know, but it's funny because it was so local, and I contacted them, and there's going to be some big names there. And the reason it's called that is because it's a haunted house attraction other times of the year. And so that's the name of the haunted house attraction. So they're just using that for the Paracon attraction as well. But I will be speaking there as well. And the subject is kids and the paranormal. And, a lot of people, and because this is a big topic, people go, you brought your kids on paranormal investigations. Did you ever think there was any risks? And 2020 hindsight, if I knew some of the things I know now, I might have done some things differently. So I always have to put that disclaimer out there to people that I talk about it a lot in Family Spirits too. We really devote a whole chapter to it. Are there risks? There's risks in paranormal investigation. Are there things I would have done differently? The answer is yes. But as it stands, it's water under the bridge. We did what we did. And, some of the evidence is amazing. And I credit a lot of it is to the fact that we were going in as a family and we were so respectful, and the kids honestly were ghost magnets. So, luckily we never had any real problems. We ran into a couple bumps in the road, but, yeah, I talk about it in family spirits too, though. So
Very, very cool. What do I want to ask you? The Paracons. Do you
yeah,
like going to those?
I love them.
Do you really?
It is truly one of my favorite things to do. I'm not kidding when I tell you. And the reason is this. First of all, I get to meet and rub elbows with all of these people that I'm a fan of. There's people out there in the paranormal world that you interact with them on Facebook, Twitter, you see a lot of them on TV, and all of a sudden, you're at these Paracons and you're talking to them face to face, and it's actually kind of blew us away. There's so many of them who know who we are and are coming to us and saying, well, we're fans of you. And I'm like, that's impossible. No, really. We watch you. And these are people on television. So I like that aspect, but I like talking to people involved in the paranormal, people that have a passion for it, people that have a fascination for it. And then they buy our books. I sign them and we talk, and a lot of people come up to me for advice. So yeah, it's a way to interact with the field. And when you're there, you're amongst your own, because I don't know if you've come across this, but when a lot of people in the street, when they find out you're involved with the paranormal, it's kind of like that, they shy away a little bit. They're a little freaked out by it. But here you are at a Paracon, and everybody is of like mind. You're among friends.
Yeah.
And I like that aspect of it. I feel like I belong there.
Absolutely. And that has to be, everybody talks about, um, do you have any favorite, and I'm going to probably ask you this question, of favorite locations that you haven't been to yet that are on your bucket list to go and investigate at? Well, Paracons, that's how I started doing my show
Mm-hmm.
uh, 7 years ago was, I was just sitting around the coffee table with my wife, and she could tell I was kind of bummed out and depressed that day. And she goes, what's the issue today, honey? Um, you've eaten well today. Why are you in a bad mood? And I told her, I said, well, I've been thinking that all of these people that I admire and respect and want to get to meet um, and investigate with or do whatever with, I'm never going to get that opportunity because I can't afford to quit my job and travel around the country going to all these paracons and paranormal
Right.
conferences, yada, yada, yada. And she was her idea to say, well, why don't you do a radio show? And then the rest is history. So that to me was my way of like, before I met you, I didn't know you until I asked you, you know, uh,
Right.
if you would come on my show back in the day, and we became friends. The
Yep.
rest is history.
Yep.
So I see what you're saying when you talk about that. But when it comes to Paracons, and I could take them or leave them. Actually, I'm a home buddy, and that's why I don't go to more of them. I don't have anything against them, but there are a couple that I actually are on a bucket list to want to go to because they're just so well known. And
Right.
that the Gettysburg, the Bash one, Battlefield
Yes.
Bash one is one of them.
Love that one.
And mainly because I know once I'm there, I've just got to, go and investigate Gettysburg because, that is like
Right.
the place to go.
It's honestly the I can't say enough about Gettysburg. And while we're on that subject, this past summer when I was at the Bash, we went out investigating with with another couple who were paranormal investigators, and we went out into the field, and actually people can see this new episode. It's a relatively new episode called The Phantom Regiment. We caught our second clear full body apparition on the Gettysburg battlefield. Sorry. And it's amazing. We were on the field and we were getting communication, and our honestly, our equipment was just lighting up. And Renee was taking infrared shots. Once again, that's really our favorite way of capturing these anomalies. And in one of the shots, standing behind a boulder as clear as you and I, is a Confederate soldier. Well, I don't know if he's Confederate. I actually think he was a Union soldier. because he looked like a Union cap and he was wearing the Union short cape. And people that see this shot, they're just floored. They're absolutely floored. And we got that in Gettysburg. And I just don't know. But the anomalies, they're everywhere there because, I mean, if you know anything about the area, wow, what happened there? I mean, just tens of thousands of men mowed down and just died in horrific, slow, painful deaths. But it seems like a lot of them are still fighting the battle, which is unfortunate. And I really don't know the dynamic of that. I don't think the residual haunts, because we were getting intelligent communication when we got that full body apparition that was telling us to get off the battlefield. It was literally saying,
Wow.
get off the battlefield. Said it twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell you what, let's address one of the elephants in the room.
Sure.
I get people all the time that come up to me and well, there's two camps. Some people love the TV shows that are out. Some people don't watch them. I haven't watched a good one in a long time. I don't have anything against them. I just haven't watched one in a long time.
Right.
And I'm so busy in, homework and studies and my day job and, life that I just end up not really sitting down to watch them. But I've had people tell me, they ask me, why do you investigate with psychics? Do you believe in psychics? And I've gone on record many times and said that, yes, I do. I can count them on one hand, but I do believe some psychics are truly, gifted and legit. Same thing with like magicians. What I find, some people will say, well, he's a magician, so he's probably faking his evidence. And this
Okay.
is what I say to that. If they knew you, first of all, successful magicians are talented professionals. That has nothing to do with being a ghost hunter or a paranormal investigator. And there's just too much to lose, and it does nobody any good for somebody to even do that. But if they knew you, they wouldn't even ask that question. But what do you
Right.
say to people when they say, like, there's a rumor? I'm gonna get hate mail for this, but there's a rumor. There's a guy in Vegas that has a haunted museum. But those in the know that the guy that built the
Yeah.
museum is a well-known
Yeah.
magician, and some of the things that happen in there that are, when you get hit with the cold air or the, things move and stuff, it's
Yeah.
probably set up by the guy that built the place.
Right.
And it's all fun and games. There's comes a time where sometimes you have to say, well, listen, there's a certain amount of entertainment in what we do. My show, I get sometimes colleagues, sometimes other people that do podcasts and radio shows will watch a show of mine with a particular guest, and they'll come back to me later and they'll get on me a little bit about why I may or may not have that guest on. Usually happens when I have a witch on. And I don't judge and I don't, but basically, and I'll just throw it out there, this what we're doing now here, we're trying to entertain, you
Of
know.
course.
But what do you say to people when they say that?
Okay, this is a great question. The first thing I bring up is Harry Houdini. And if anybody knows the history of Harry Houdini, who's probably the most recognizable name in all of magic, was half of his full evening show was debunking fraudulent spiritualists, because he was just coming off of the whole Victorian spiritualist. Hey, Courtney, come here. Say hi to everybody. We're
That
on
wasn't.
Reverend Whittington's
I was thinking
podcast.
that might have been a ghost.
Come on, come get in the camera. Say hi to Courtney.
Howdy, Courtney.
Hi.
Florida Gallo family ghost hunters right there. I don't know.
I was going to let you finish talking first, and I was going to say, was
No.
that a ghost that
Okay.
just walked on your wall?
Back to, I had to get her beautiful face in. She's a lifeguard and she just got off duty. That's why her hair was wet.
God bless her.
Yeah, I know exactly. Harry Houdini spent half of his time debunking fraudulent spiritualists because he was just coming off of the Victorian spiritualist rage, as it were. And so that's really where my mindset was when I first got into ghost hunting and paranormal investigation. If anybody was doing anything fraudulent, I was going to be able to spot it. So instead of people thinking that I might be doing magic tricks, what they should be doing is listening to me as a person who can spot people with the trained eye of one who is trained in the fine art of misdirection and deception. That's what I am. I've been doing this forever. I know how people fool other people. I know human psychology. So when I capture paranormal evidence, for me anyway, it's really compelling because I know it wasn't fraudulent. And I know I have probably a little bit more of experience when it comes to something that can be caused by natural phenomenon versus something that really has no explanation. Now, am I making any sense there?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so I say, look, you have to look at me as a modern day Harry Houdini, that I'm going to debunk anything I think is fraudulent versus me trying to do tricks for sensationalization purposes. Because, I talk about sensationalizing the paranormal, the TV shows, and Family Spirits too. Because, and again, here's a great example, and I talk about it in Family Spirits too, and I'm not going to name the show, but I will say that there's two main stars of this show, and they're probably some of the most trusted people in the paranormal world. However, they blatantly blew it on this show because they set REM pods in the hallway of and if anybody doesn't know what a REM pod is, it's a device that has an antenna that creates its own electromagnetic field. If you break that field, it goes off. Therefore, if there's nothing around this antenna and it goes off, something is disturbing that electromagnetic field. Therefore, it could be paranormal. Well, they set these up in the hall of an allegedly haunted house. And as the two stars are staring in amazement, this thing goes off. At first glance, everybody's like, wow, this is cool. Well, if you look really close, you could see that somebody was in the room opposite the REM pod waving their hand up and down. You could see the shadow on the wall, on the opposite end of the wall. Somebody was actually tripping this thing and selling it as a paranormal event. When I showed this to Renee and I pointed it out, she will never watch that show again. Wow. Because it was so blatant. And then I put it out on Facebook, and people that saw it just couldn't believe I caught that. But that's because that's my eye. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for. I could find these things. And my apologies to anybody who's a fan of that show. Again, I'm not going to mention what it is, who it is, but I will say that if you come to me personally, I probably will tell you, but it's not necessary. And the reason it's not necessary is we have over 60 episodes. Actually, we're pushing almost 70 episodes now with Gallo Family Ghost Hunters. There is nothing fake. We have tons of evidence in that shows, and nothing has ever been fraudulent in that show. Now, is everything paranormal? Probably not. But what I'm saying is we didn't do it, whatever it was. We didn't intentionally falsify anything in that show. But sometimes the EMF detector will go off, which could be paranormal or it could be a natural phenomenon. For instance, I have my ghost meter right here. I can put it on. If I put it near that's the computer. That's not a ghost. It's picking up the computer. So yeah, things can be, misconstrued as paranormal, but we never falsify anything ever. I know we had a question down here before. Somebody asked me about an Indian burial ground.
Zach will probably pop it up for you there. And if he hasn't found it yet, let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, brother.
There was a somebody who asked a question, asked if I would do an Indian burial ground massacre in Colorado. There it is, right there.
Yeah, actually, Bobby, this is me. And sorry, Rev, I wanted to do this. My dad grew up in an area where there was a Indian massacre. And we're about ready to go out and investigate that later in 2023. And I just wanted to know from you, how difficult are those when there's really not much around? And you got to remember,
those are the best
my
ones.
wife knows what she's doing. I'm the guy that sits back there and goes, "Oh, did you see that?" And it's just a bird.
The first thing I would say is document everything. Have a video camera running the whole time, as well as a digital recorder. Normally, those things that are out in the middle of nowhere are the best ones because they haven't been investigated to death, pun intended. Like so many of these other more famous locations. I will give you this one little, I don't want to call it a warning, but this one little piece of advice. Anything that has to do with Native Americans, Indian burial grounds, massacres where there were Native Americans, they could be very dark. The reason is this. The Native Americans were very attached to the land. And I believe that even after we shuffle off this mortal coil, a lot of those Native Americans are still attached to the same land. They could become very protective.
Yeah.
And the stories I have heard about people investigating ancient Indian burial sites or houses that were built on Indian burial grounds. There's just dozens of them, and none of them are happy. So just be careful with that. That's my only.
That's one of the things that I always really wanted to make sure that I fully believe and fully honor respect of everything,
Absolutely.
alive, dead,
Sure,
whatever it is. And the natives were here before we were, and yeah, they were massacred by people who looked like me. I mean,
yeah.
obviously a lot skinnier and than I am, but I mean, they're gonna see me and think that they see the horse, but I mean,
Well, to them, it's
yeah.
still their land.
Yeah.
And if they're earthbound, and I don't know how the Native American dynamic works with that, but if they are earthbound, they're still going to be protective of their land. So you always have to be aware. You always, and of course, be respectful. I mean, the Rev knows that. We talk about that all the time. But sometimes that's not enough in certain areas. They don't want you there. But if I were there, I'd investigate it too. So,
well, Bobby, I'll reach out to you and I'll let you know when we're going to do it. Yeah, because and again, I don't mean to break into the show, but this went along with the the conversation you were having, because like the Rev had said, that's something. History is right down my alley. I love history. I love history. And I think that doing things like this, and this is out where my father grew up, out in eastern Colorado, and so there's a site of a massacre out there, and my dad, that's one of his bucket list things to do before he moves on, and so we're really pushing hard to do that. And when you started talking about it, I was like, I'll let you guys know when we're going to do that, because I'd love to see everybody come out and let's pay tribute to these to these natives that lost their lives, and I think that to me would be something that we do that's just fantastic. That's right in line with what we do. So
right. Well, we're really well known, and a lot of our episodes show this. Like we'll put flowers on graves. We'll do things of that nature. I would get a little pint of whiskey, because the Indians loved whiskey, firewater. No, I'm actually really serious. And I would try to learn a few Native American greetings and start your investigation off with that. Because if you're saying talking to this EVP recorder, they may not know English. I mean, I don't know. Try that. Try to meet them on their terms. And a little offering, I don't think would hurt at all.
Well, let me ask you this question. I've heard a rumor, and once again, Sean knows I'm a novice at all this. I know very little about it, but are they going to be able to understand English, or is there do we have any? What are the studies with that?
There's two schools of thought on that. The first school of thought is no. If they didn't know it during life, they're still the same after death if they're earthbound. That's the first school. The second one is once you pass on, you have access to something called the morphic field or universal intelligence, which basically means that you can tap into the knowledge and you would recognize English. And the way we come to that conclusion is that we have spirits pick words out of an Ovilus device, which is a dictionary of 2,000 words, and it works. They manipulate radio frequencies through a ghost box. They can ping the needle on an EMF detector. Well, if they were alive 200 years ago, how do they know how to utilize this technology? Apparently they do. So the school of thought is they tap into this universal intelligence, this morphic field, this big field of consciousness after they pass on, and they're able to do that. If they can do that, I would think they would also be able to understand English. That's my personal the way I'm thinking here. However, if you could meet them where they are and as a gesture of respect, maybe learn a few of those Native American greetings. I think that would be awesome. I think they would appreciate that, and they would know that you're coming from a place of respect. And that's really what a lot of these spirits want. They want to be remembered, but they want to be treated with respect, not like these TV shows that are using antagonistic methods to try to get them to do something. Because look, first of all, they can cause you trouble.
Yeah.
Second of all, they don't have anything to prove to you. They're doing you a favor by communicating with you, and you need to show respect in return for that gift of communication, because as a paranormal researcher, to me, that's gold. I'm proving the afterlife. That's why I'm in this. And they don't have anything to prove to you. They're not here. They're not trained monkeys. I tell this all the time. I said, they're not trained monkeys here to entertain us, with the organ grinder. They are people. They're just in a different dimension right now. So we need to understand that and respect them as though they're standing right in front of us, which in many cases they are anyway.
Right. Well, I wanted to thank you guys again, and sorry
No
for
problem,
interrupting, but and by
That's
the way,
great.
Sean, by the way, Sean, you just can't ever trust somebody with the first name that begins with a Z, right? Especially when they're trying to put on a show.
No, in
Hey,
fact, I appreciated it. Thank you very much. That was great.
that's a great question. It's funny. It's interesting that particular question came up from Zach,
Right.
because I have people come to me all the time. You're a reverend, right? Why do you use sage? And I learned this. I worked a case with a Native American gentleman, an indigenous gentleman, who him and his wife were having a terrible time in their new apartment, and we come to realize it was a generational spirit attached to them that came from the reservation. And then I worked a case on the reservation. Both the holy man that I helped and this other individual, who were both of indigenous heritage, told me that it doesn't hurt to use that, especially if you know that more times than not, even if it's not advertised, you're on ground that was once Indians once lived on. So it's just a sign of respect. That's why I still use the sage or the Palo Santo or the sweetgrass before I use my blessed incenses, because I know most likely I may run into an indigenous spirit, and I want to just show respect. And I'm glad this also came up for another reason. I've got about 5 minutes before I got to say goodbye to you. But I noticed a great new episode you just put out with the family where you guys are at. Is it called? I think I wrote it down. Tranquility Cemetery.
Tranquility.
Now, many years ago when I had a team, I used to train at cemeteries because I didn't know where else to train at.
Right.
And I stopped because I started having more and more team members have bad experiences there,
Mm.
something attached to them, and they would take it home. So I stopped doing that. Um, what's your take on some of these new teams needing a place to train their people? Yay or nay on the cemetery thing? I know you guys are experienced. That's why there's probably not an issue with that. But your whole take on cemeteries and either training at them or investigating at them.
Well, I'd rather investigate a cemetery than ghost hunt in my house. I mean, people need a place to go. And the thing about cemeteries are they're easily accessible. They're free. You're not paying somebody $100 to investigate an old haunted mansion somewhere. That's a whole nother story. They're historical, so they're very educational. Fiona Broom in her great book, Ghost Hunting and How to Hunt Ghosts in Haunted Cemeteries, says that cemeteries show you history. So it's historical. It's easily accessible, but you need to be respectful. It's hallowed ground. Um, I don't know what people are doing, where they're getting attachments and bringing them home, but I mean, I got to say, I'm an advocate of not performing. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said of investigating in cemeteries. But I will say that you do have to do it in a very respectful way. I just think that if you're not going to do it there, where are you going to go? And I don't do it in your home, because that's one of my cardinal rules.
I had a team member who was Jewish, and he used to come when we went to the cemeteries with rocks. and he would put rocks on the tombstones. He would
Right.
also pour as we were leaving. He would always make sure he poured fresh water on the ground just before we left. And I never really asked him why. And I just figured it was something that he was into. But offerings a big deal. Now, I know a lot of people that love the artwork on some of these old tombstones, and they do etchings where they
Yes.
put like, some type of art paper, thin art paper on the tombstone, and then they take like charcoal and they etch, and then they end up with the design that's on the tombstone. Do you believe or feel that that's in any way disrespectful?
No, I really don't. I mean, I don't think etchings are disrespectful. I will tell you though that there's a lot of cemeteries now, the older ones, that prohibit that because it does damage the tombstones.
Oh, really?
So yeah, especially like if you go to the old churchyard in Sleepy Hollow, New York, it's specifically right there. Do not do etchings
Wow.
because they don't want you touching them because if too many people do it, you're going to start taking layers of stone. The old gravestones were made. I think I don't know if it was limestone. It's a very lightweight stone and it doesn't hold up very well. So you shouldn't even really be touching the graves. But remember, cemeteries exist so that the dead can be remembered. And if you're going to a cemetery, that's exactly what we're doing. And if they're not going to, if they don't want to communicate with you, they won't. If they want to, they will. Just do it in a very respectful way and take all the precautions that I'm sure and that we do, and say protection prayers. We take blessed medals of Saint Benedict because we're Catholic. We believe that helps us. This is my cross of the Archangel Ariel, who's the Lion of God and Punisher of Demons. Always wear that. And family spirits too. I talk about all of that. So that's something, people might want to pick that up because that gives you our ghost hunting routine from beginning, start to finish, in that book, because I feel that that's something people need to read. And also, there's a great interview with this guy named Sean Whittington in this book, and oh my gosh, people love that interview. In fact, look at that. Look at this. Handsome guy right there, folks. There he is.
You're trying to sell a book here. You're not doing yourself any favors.
Ghostgear.info. I can still get it in time for the holidays, folks.
I do this every week. Here, I want to show you this list. See this list here?
Wow. Yes,
that's
I see that.
Fans and followers of you sent in questions, and I never get to any of the questions. I try. What I will do is, before I have to say goodbye to you, two very interesting, one interesting prayer request, one interesting question from my mailbag, and I'm going to throw them at you because I think they're right up your alley. We have this woman who just single mother moves into a home, a fix-em-upper. I don't know if they're trying to flip it or if they're going to live there.
Mm-hmm.
But now that renovations have started, the whole family is experiencing paranormal activity.
Yep.
So that's family related. Then you have Tom, who thinks he has purchased. I don't know if he purchased it, if it was given to him, a cursed item.
Mm-hmm.
Your take on house blessing and your take on cursed items.
Well, in the first scenario, there's no question that there's somebody still attached to that home and they don't like to see it renovated. So all you can really do is get that house cleared. I would call in clergy to do that for sure. I'm not saying it's demonic by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I think demons are very, very, very rare in ghost hunting, but I do think it might be an earthbound that doesn't want to leave their home. So we have to get them to the light somehow. In the second scenario, I was listening to your description of how you take care of cursed objects, and I think that's the way to go. We had a huge problem with a set of dowsing rods that had an attachment. This is the EMF detector that I would put it to the dowsing rods and it would pin. Now, these are not plugged in. They don't have batteries. They shouldn't be holding an electromagnetic charge, but boy, were they. I realized it was the dowsing rods. After being used so many times, they developed the spiritual attachments. I just got rid of them. I was so freaked out at the time, and this is years ago, that I threw them in a dumpster Probably shouldn't have done that, but that's what I did. Haven't had any problems since, but probably not the best way to dispose of a cursed object. I would definitely take it to a priest, like you said, though. I think that's probably the safest thing to do.
Oh, Bobby, what do I want to tell you other than I love you? You're such a
Oh, right back
handsome
to you,
man.
man.
You're just passionate, talented, got a great history behind you with all this sort of stuff. Um, do you believe in ghosts?
I passed the point of belief a long time ago. We've had so many experiences. We've talked to so many. We've gotten so many EVP, full body apparitions, photographic, electronic anomalies that there's no other explanation. They exist. Not to mention the fact that, I mean, that's on the whole paranormal investigation side. We could do a whole show on experiences I've had with psychics and whatnot. There's just no doubt.
Let's do that. After I say goodbye to you, I'll check my calendar and get you back in the spring. I'm getting ready to start booking for March, I think.
Okay.
So I'll get you back in the spring, and we'll do. I'll try to get. I'll save all of these questions I never got to. But
Okay, great.
we'll do a good show on the Gallo family, ghost hunters take on all of that stuff.
That would be great
Um,
because I have a lot to say about that. Some of my experiences are pretty heavy duty. So, yeah.
Brother, thank you so much for hanging out with me on a Friday night
Thank
in your neck of
you.
the woods there. And I'm not done with you yet. And give all the family members a big hug and a kiss for me. Have a
Merry Christmas.
yes, Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year's. May all the dreams and wishes of everyone in your family come true next year. And I will be in touch. Okay, brother?
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me on. Always an honor.
You got it, brother. Thank you. I'll see you
Thank
later. Bye bye. I love him. I really want to meet his family too. I think they're so cool. And God bless his daughter for being a lifeguard. It just you don't see that very often. Just a really good family and all doing good things and doing good things together and passionate about all of this good stuff. Um, communitypayitforward.us. That's Zach's thing. Go there, check that out. A lot of good things that you can do there. If you're that kind of person who wants to do something good, especially at Christmas time, communitypayitforward.us. usocc.org. That's my church if you're interested in my church. bishopjameslong.com. Go there Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, Wednesday and Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Pacific. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage. There's a link to take you right to his YouTube channel for Bible study, and there's a link to take you right to Spreaker for night prayer. That's a good time. I want to thank Zach and Adrian Clayton, my co producers. Couldn't do the show without them. Thank you to Things Network. Thank you to Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. Thank you to PACT, little p, capital ACT, Podcasting for All Coming Together channel, for all these networks simulcasting my show. God bless them for doing that. Um, Once again, I don't have a show without you guys. So thank each and every one of you for being here. I will be here this Friday. Actually, it is Friday. I'll be here this Monday. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to love these guys. Going into Christmas week, too. Perfect. Barry and Connie Strom will be here Monday the 19th. World renowned spirit channels. They'll probably channel somebody holy and spiritual and give us a channeling session on Monday. That's going to be a great show. All right, guys. Bad joke time. A bad joke one of you sent in that I'm going to pull out of this haunted carnival Barker hat. It's falling apart. I just pulled out the. He wore a 7 5/8 inch hat. Okay. This is a joke that one of you sent in. I'm going to try to put a smile on everybody's face before I say goodnight. What kind of car does an egg drive? A Volkswagen. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. Peace.